So I got us recording.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for doing this.
Love you for this.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Way out of your comfort zone, way out of our comfort zone. So you read the scenario,
Right.
kind of have an idea of what's going on. Have some, sounds like almost like a harassment kind of thing between one party, and then that led to another party's harassment, and then now we're multiple, I guess,
Yeah.
complaints is going on now. So where do you start as a supervisor, as in a management role for us?
So the supervisor's role is a little bit different than the manager's role. We get the information and we take the information and provide it to the boss, who then goes on and does additional interviews and findings with stuff.
Okay.
So we're going to conduct the preliminary interviews, take notes, and start taking down the who, what, where, when, how, and why of the complaint. And then you have to take these kinds of complaints serious, because if you don't, it leads to all kinds of workplace problems, morale problems. I can't work with that person, this person can't work with me, and then you start to get cliques. Well, this group is sided with this person, and that group is sided with that person, and so now this group can't work with that group who's mad, and you want to stop that as quickly as possible.
So this thing can fester. It can grow.
It can, if you don't address it quickly and in as equitable a manner as possible.
Like what we talked about before. So do you address it to our general population, or do you keep it simple?
You want to start off simple. At some point, if it continues to grow and you never know, you will address it to everybody. And the everybody message is a broad, generalized message of be professional, keep your personal stuff at home, keep your professional stuff at work,
Right.
try not to let the two mingle, things like that. So the tricky part is we all spend an inordinate amount of time with each other.
That's the truth.
And we do have, when you look at people, you have to look at them as we have multiple relationships with them. For example, depending on the time of day and the situation, I'm your boss. I'm your friend, I'm your mentor. I could be your social buddy out of work.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so keeping all of those different relationships in check that's the tricky part for a supervisor and a manager. So, with this scenario, whenever you start any investigation, you want to take the complaining party serious. They're complaining for a reason. Okay? Don't blow them off.
Okay.
If there's something coming in, we have a duty to take their complaint and find out what's going on about it. And we may get to a point where if we are asked for a recommendation, we go, there's nothing to this complaint, or this is a valid complaint that should go further. And you want to find out who the other parties are that are involved, and start providing those names to the bosses up the chain of command, and potentially to the human resources department, so that they can investigate.
So eventually this will lead to our big boss. Right? I mean, there's kind of no way of getting around it for the most part.
Depends on how big and what the nature of the complaint is.
Depends on what kind of big boss I guess we're talking about. We'll say our ops manager.
I don't know
right
that
now.
it's gonna go, all of them are gonna go to our general manager for all of Riverside County, but
Right.
it's certainly going to go to our operations manager in this division, or in this operation.
Now, with that being said, would he sit both parties down together and maybe try to hear both sides and do an amicable kind of split, or would he still separate everyone and try to get to the bottom of it and say these are your options and your choices and this is what you have to do?
It's generally gonna depend on the scenario and past history with the people. My take is that we're gonna separate everybody out. We don't wanna generally interview two people together, because that can spin out of control very quickly. person, you can get very direct questions and you can get very direct answers. If you have two people in the room, somebody might not want to answer a question.
Right.
Okay? And everybody's views and feelings, they're real to that person. So you can't necessarily discount what they're saying or what they're feeling, because they're real to that person.
Right.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here in the first place. So, and then part of that is as you're going through the interview process, once the initial interview is conducted, a good tool to use is the confidentiality statement. In AMR, we don't retaliate against people. So if you make a complaint against me, I don't retaliate. That's specified in our corporate handbook. We're a non-retaliatory company.
It's just bottom line. That's how it works.
Bottom line. You complain about me, I don't fire something back in retaliation to you. That's not tolerated.
Right.
And so the confidentiality statement says that, and it tells the people, number one, you're going to stop talking about this to everybody, which hopefully starts to put a lid on it and involves less people at that point. Number two, the confidentiality statement also says you're not going to retaliate against the other person. Okay? And it reminds them of that. So by doing, the third thing it says is that if you do either of those two things, you could be fired for your actions. You want to remind people of that. Because this is a business, you want to behave professionally. Okay, and sometimes people have to be reminded of it. So you're going to conduct your interview. You're going to get your confidentiality statement signed, and then you're going to brief your boss and see where the boss wants you to go from that point. Are there additional people that need to be interviewed? Did the initial complaining person say, well, I've got person 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the one that's causing the problems, 2 and 3 are on the periphery.
Right.
Okay, and then the boss may say something like, oh, we need to talk to 1, we need to talk to 2 and 3 as well, and get their statements. So now it becomes a process of gathering everything up. When you do that, have them sign a confidentiality statement as well, and see what their statements are. And you can't prejudge what anybody's going to say, and that's really tough to do, because you never know where an investigation's going to lead. So you have to retain an open mind. And sometimes that's hard to do, because it's human nature to want to prejudge things on certain aspects and certain levels.
Right.
So keep it open, see where it goes. So once you've interviewed all the parties, you'll have a packet that you can prepare and give to the boss and say, okay, this is what I've found so far. This is my opinion. Here you go. And then the boss is going to do secondary interviews, and they're going to come up with secondary questions that they're going to want to ask.
Eventually leading to what would be, so we've had similar experiences here with stuff like this, maybe not supervisor to employee, but we've had similar experiences. What is the end result usually?
The end result you want to get to is that everybody has to realize that irregardless of if you and I've had an intense personal relationship outside of work, we still have to work together as professionals.
Right.
Okay? And so everybody has to be reminded of that. So if somebody is doing something that you find is grossly inappropriate, grossly offensive, and outside of company policy, they can be subject to some sort of write-up. We can do some sort of remediation plan where they have to go back and take some of the classes on whatever they're doing. If it's a sexual harassment thing, if it's something else, they can go back and take those kinds of classes and say, hey, look, this is why it's important. This is why we don't do this, because it's not going to be tolerated in a business and professional environment.
Sure.
And we do have to treat each other politely and with a little bit of dignity and respect. That's just the bottom line. So that will be the end point. Now, how you get there, and if there's any write-ups or remediation or stuff, I mean, there's a whole bunch of interviews that potentially take place.
This takes weeks and months and.
It can
stuff to
potentially
do it.
take a month. But again, you want to start doing something, because if you don't do anything, then the employees think, well, they're not important. And people already think they're not important. They want to say that, well, I'm just a corporate number, nobody cares. And one of the things that makes our particular operating unit unique is we do care. And the boss wants us to let the employees know that you're not just a number. We do care about you. We try to have your back. We try to provide an environment every day that is a positive environment for you to work in, so that you can be the best you that you can be.
Right.
And I think we're fairly successful at that.
I think we do pretty well.
I think we do pretty well. There are times when people just, for whatever reason, they get a little sideways with things. And if you don't do anything with that, then it gives credence to them saying, well, the company didn't do anything. So you have to do something.
So every complaint
Has to get looked at.
is taken a look at, and everything has some sort of resolution to it,
At some
small or large.
Yep.
But everyone is taken seriously no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially when you start talking about, it gets really tricky, and that's why you want to get the HR professionals involved, when you start talking about people that are potentially protected classes. So, if you have people that are having relationships, if they're same-sex relationships, if they're not same-sex relationships, when you start getting into people that have protected classes and can bring all kinds of really nasty lawsuits
Sure.
against the supervisors, the managers, or the company in general, if they don't do anything, if
Sure.
they don't take an action.
Or if they don't even feel like they're being handled correctly for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and they can, if you get to the end and you think that they weren't handled correctly, the individual is still able to do whatever they want to do, but you can still show, we got a complaint at this point, we investigated, we continued the investigation, we came to a resolution, we closed it out. If you can't show that, then now you're potentially in a whole nother realm where you didn't do anything. You left this person out to hang and dry,
Right.
and nobody wants that.
Right.
So you have to do something. The first step is start the investigative process. Write it down. Get written statements. Make notes. Follow all your leads. Turn over all the stones. Did this happen? Use some of the tools that are available to you. The confidentiality statement and the non-retaliatory statement, that's a great one. Using human resources to guide you so that you stay out of illegal landmines, that's a great one. Turning the whole thing over to human resources once you get to a certain point. This is too big for me. This is too consuming. The complaints are too, I don't know.
Too broad, maybe.
Too broad. What are we going to do with this? Yeah. Give it to HR and let them chew on it. And be involved in it.
Alright.
So,
I think you're pretty good.
yeah.
I think we covered it.
Okay.
Easy, Paul, easy.